bossing, skilling, guides. Hey guys, it's Scuzzy, and welcome to another episode of the Rambling series. This is going to be episode 14, and I want to discuss something that a person named Alpha Chan has asked me to talk about in a Ramblings video. They said, I think you should talk about, is RuneScape 2 PVM oriented? It's rather a controversial topic, and I really want to know what you think about it. Cheers. So, not exactly sure how you want me to approach this question, but I looked at it as, well, there are a couple different options you can do when you're playing RuneScape. If you're looking at a different game, a couple of games come to mind like MapleStory, Puzzle Pirates, Toontown. Those are the games that I've played in the past. And if you look at them, they have a set structure. With MapleStory, you have to choose a class, and you have to stick with that class. With Puzzle Pirates, you pretty much... Actually, Puzzle Pirates is a pretty open game. But Toontown is also very structured. You have to pick certain, types of gags in the game, and you can't switch from there afterwards. So, and a lot of games are like that, where you pick a set skill, and you have to stick with it. RuneScape, on the other hand, is more open than that. You can do one skill. You can train all three combat styles, whereas in other games you could only train just one specific one. So, that being said, RuneScape is already a broad game. It's an open game where you can do a lot of different things. Some of the different things you can do on the game are skilling, what we call PVM, which is player versus monster. That's when your character kills any type of monster. In my opinion, that would include Slayer, but Slayer is also skilling. So, and that will also include bosses. I like to typically call that PvB because it's player versus boss, but a lot of people call that PVM, so we're just going to keep that PVM for now. And then you also have PvP, which is player versus player. And then lastly, you have the people who are just merching on the GE or merching on the forums. So there's probably around 4 or 5 different types of playstyles in the game. And this person specifically wants to know, is PVM too much in the game? Now, we can look at each specific thing and see if it has PVM aspects to it. So if you look at PvP, you go into the wilderness and you kill a player. Doesn't have any monsters in it, so that one doesn't have PVM in it. But PvP is not very big in the game. There's not that many people doing it. If anything, PvP has skilling attached to it because one of the main attractions for PvP is to kill people while they're doing warbands, and warbands is a skilling activity, not a PVM activity. That being said, we can rule out PvP as being PVM. Merching does have a lot to do with PVM, in the fact that PVM items are usually good items to merch, because the PVM community is a pretty damn big community, and it really does affect how much you can make in the merching aspect. So we have a little bit of PVM in the merching aspect, so that's a +1 for is RuneScape 2 PVM oriented. Also really depends on how you look at it. If you go into skilling, well, actually, let's take a step back. Let's go back to the merching. You can make money from skilling items, but the way RuneScape has shaped, people who are doing skilling for money and selling the items are bots. I don't know if we still have a bot problem. I would probably assume that we still have some sort of bots in the game. But back in 2011, 2012, that was this was before the EOC. That was the time where we had a ton of bots, and they were flooding the game with the skilling items. So, one thing about merching is it's less profit, in my opinion, to merch skilling items because there's a high volume of them and there's a lot of people doing them, and there are low margins because there's a lot of volume of that item. That being said, I think merching has a little bit more PVM than skilling in it. Let's look at skilling. So you could get max experience excluding the combat skills. You can do that. You can do it. It's possible. There's been like one person who did it. But you're gonna have a hugely difficult time. It's not the way that the game was designed to go. The game was designed to include PVM in skilling, especially for something like Slayer, summoning. If you ask me if skilling is too PVM oriented, I would look at skilling as can you do it without PVM? And the answer is yes, you can get most of your skills up to 200 mil XP without PVM, but there are some skills that you would have a hard time with. If you were an Iron Man, you would have a hard time with summoning, with let's see, Slayer. You might have a hard time with farming because you need to get the seeds. A lot of the seeds that you would get if you're an Iron Man are from like Ganos or Slayer creatures or something like that. So, and then also prayer. You need bones for prayer. Well, no, I guess you could do the crystals at Prefdinis, but so there are some skills that do require a little bit of PVM to get yourself to a higher level. So when you ask me, when you look at other games, like I said before, you can choose one path and you can go down that path and you can finish that path without ever touching a different type of path. Like you could be a ranger and never touch the warrior path and complete max stats of a ranger, but never touch the warrior path, and it'll be totally fine. That's how a lot of games work. But with RuneScape, a lot of things are incorporated. Like, and it goes the other way too. I mean, with PVM, you need different skilling items. I mean, not as much, but in the future with the mining and smithing rework, you're gonna need it for PVM a little bit. But I think the game is geared towards a lot of PVM. Like I said, you can't just do the skilling aspect without any PVM. You're not going to be able to get max stats. That being said, you could probably get to the max PVM without doing any skilling things because you get skilling items from monsters as drops. Technically, you can merch without ever touching PVM. You can do PvP without touching PVM, but PVM seems like it's the most encompassing in the game. Now, if you look at it as like how many hours spent, skilling is going to be the top one. Also, if you look at the game content wise, there's a lot of skilling content compared to PVM content. You maybe have like 20. You have what, 43 boss pets, so I mean, the maximum that you can have is 43 bosses in the game, whereas, skilling options, you have a ton of skilling options. So I think this question it really depends on how you look at it. If you look at it time-based, then skilling's more prominent than PVM. If you look at it, can you do skilling without PVM, then PVM is still prominent. If you look at it as a content-wise, skilling is still more prominent. I think I don't have a full answer. It really depends on how you look at it. But those are just my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you tomorrow for another video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think PVM is too oriented in the game? Let me know in the comments. Peace. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a great day. Follow me on social media and subscribe for more. Peace.
Lions roaring in the morning sun, searching for a longer day. People feeling